Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Founder Chats. I'm really excited to see everyone in here. Thank you, everyone who's joining us right now. Please do jump into the chats and say hi and let us know who you are. For those who have been to a Founder Chats before, you would likely know by this point in time that you're welcome to ask questions and engage to your heart's content during the next 30 minutes. But essentially, it'll be kind of a facilitated conversation, kind of like an interview, if you will, but a little bit more informal, where I'm going to be asking Davina some questions and learning a little bit more about Element Apothec, learning about the origin stories, learning about Davina's story, and kind of just sharing some of those entrepreneurial tips and tidbits and tips and all the things. So I'm really excited to learn more about your story, Davina, because we met in May at Pitch US and then again at Amplify, our first ever Amplify in November. But I don't think I know you on any sort of like deep level. So I'm excited to have you here at today's Founder Chats. And for everyone who doesn't know Davina and Element Apothec yet, Davina is the CEO and co-founder, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Yes, perfect. Of Element Apothec. And Element Apothec I have down here is your trusted CBD products brand. And I liked something you had on your website, so I pulled this, which said, combining the healing powers of nature and the ingenuity and innovation of science. So I think, I don't know if there's other kind of like science nerds out there who also love the earth and love natural products like me, but I'm really excited to learn more about this than what I've already learned from listening to you pitch in the past. So kind of without further ado, I would love to hand it over to you to just say hello here today and let people know, I guess, like a really like high level who you are, and then we'll get into the origin story and all the elements of Element Apothec.
Exciting. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I hope everyone's day is off to a good start. There's so much craziness going on in our world right now, so just holding space to be able to do something like this, I'm really appreciative for that. And I think I'm continuing to motivate people through these hard times when sometimes it feels really difficult to keep going. It's something, just as a side note, as a brand that we've struggled with, is how do you keep going and pushing people and building excitement when the world around you is going crazy. But we're also very fortunate that we are able to do this and have time to be able to share our story. So I'm Davina, as you mentioned. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Element Apothec. As you mentioned, we'll go through the story, but a little bit, some interesting things about myself. Well, my last name was Hawaiian, so I'm part Hawaiian, which is always exciting, and I miss going to Hawaii so much. I can't wait to go back. I have a son that is growing up so quickly, which is amazing, and just really, as you said, I'm really passionate about trying to make a difference. And myself, I'm always the person that tells people, do you know what's in your makeup and your shampoo? And really thinking about what I put on my body. And so disappointed at a lot of the personal care industry and wellness industry that's kind of left the consumer behind. So that is a big motivation. We'll talk a little bit about this story, but it is my why, and it's why I'm so excited that we are launching Element Apothec and really trying to make a difference, not just for us, but hopefully other brands continue to follow. Some are also doing it, but really making a change, because people really do deserve better for the products that they're using.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for opening with that holding of space. And I know you're based in the United States, is that correct?
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Yeah, one of my best friends lives in Los Angeles, so I've been having a lot of conversations there. I know it's been very difficult for the entire year, but in particular in the last few weeks, months, I don't know, probably just the whole year. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. I think it's interesting. My team's mostly in Vancouver. I was in Madrid and then moved to Ireland, and we have this community of people from around the globe, and everyone is kind of experiencing things in different ways, the same thing in different ways, to varying degrees. But that message around, that it has been interesting and difficult to be, particularly I assume, a product brand, but trying to manage kind of like how do we continue to grow, especially if I'm just about to launch and that's such an exciting thing and there's these, big things happening. How do I talk about that? How do I engage my community? How do I be respectful and understanding of the climate that we're in and all of the how people are being impacted in all these different ways? I don't remember the second part of my point there, but just I really appreciate that you mentioned that. Oh, and then also like just the gratitude of being able to have spaces like this and talk about what we are doing. And like I like to talk about, these stories of where you came from, these stories of like if you were starting out now, what would you do? And what brings you joy right now? And what is your why? Those things are the things that get us through these kinds of times right now and building these connections and getting to know each other better. I've been very grateful for these weekly chats. So thank you for being here and creating time and space for the conversation, because it does bring joy to my week, and I know to my team, and I'm sure to everyone who listens and watches as well. I really appreciate that. So I am very excited about your why. I don't think you probably mentioned that in your pitch and I just kind of forgot. And I know you talked about this an element around consumers deserve better. It sounds like that's a part of your origin story with Element Apothec. So I'd like to invite you now to share with us, where did Element Apothec come from? Why did you start it? I'm sure you get lots of questions around the fact that it has to do with CBD and what's that about, and there's a lot of like educational components here. So I'd love to open this this conversation up and understand a little bit better where Element Apothec came from.
Yeah, so Element Apothec has a really cool origin story. My great aunt actually created the formulations have been modified, but she created many of the products that are the basis of what we are launching with. And she was diagnosed with many autoimmune diseases and medical conditions and had so many symptoms from those medical conditions. Instead of relying on medicine that the doctor was prescribing her that was making her more sick
and all these symptoms, and
she decided to take her health into her own hands. She became certified in essential oils and studied everything you could know about plant-based remedies. She also understood and knew about cannabis. She started growing her own cannabis plants in her living room, her own Rick Simpson oil, and eventually made balms and bath soaks and lotions and tinctures, everything that could really help her to improve the quality of her life and help relieve help provide support for some of the symptoms that she had. And so, and then friends and family started noticing, like, wow, her prognosis wasn't good. She was partially bedridden, and she was getting up, utilizing her time to make these products. And so little by little, people started recognizing, wow, she's doing better. She's feeling better. What are you doing? And she started sharing her products with family and friends. She eventually started selling at farmers markets. I helped her build a small website a couple of years ago. And so the story is really the products and the formulations, every ingredient. I mean, our balm has, I think, 18 ingredients in there, and every single ingredient was researched in terms of how can it be impactful, how can it help you with, we need fillers in our products to make space, or this looks like a good ingredient, let's add it in here. Every product and every ingredient was really thought through, which I think is really unique in terms of how the products were created, because we didn't just jump on the CBD bandwagon and we're like, we want to be a CBD product company.
It
started with actually a need and how to help people. And so from there, I helped her, like I said, build her website, and she's limited though. I mean, technology and how do you get people, and so she didn't really know what to do with it. So a little over a year ago, she said, I want my products to go from the kitchen to the world. I feel like I was given a gift, and I really can help impact people. And I was at a transition point in my career as well. I was finishing up, actually I was working on a potential social media app we launched, and decided it would be so hard to compete with the market space. And so I tried to figure out what will make me happy, the experience I have in my background, to really have an impact in something I do. And that was this. It was perfect because it aligns well with my thoughts of clean, safe products. I really enjoy helping people, and to be able to grant her wish of really making it. And I used the tincture for myself for helping support sleep, and the muscle balm, I did CrossFit and it would help relieve my sore muscles. And so I knew the products worked. And so I was really excited. I launched one small product that's selling on Amazon right now, but before that I hadn't really had experience with consumer products, but I knew how to build good teams, and I had experience with helping companies build their strategic operation plans. I'm like, all right, I got this. If we can build the right people, we can
Yep.
do this. And so that's
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's kind of the story, which I think is, I don't know, I love it, and I can't wait as we grow. And we have influencers now, and she started to see them post some of our products. And when we get our products in stores, and she can walk in a store and see these products that she helped formulate now actually in the real world helping people, I just think it's amazing.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And talk about like developing a product with the consumer in mind. It was all built around this need. And I think that's like very evident in your messaging and in your website, and everything's so beautiful and well thought out. And I really appreciated that that like element you're talking about in terms of having these clean and natural products is really evident on your website. And like you talk about, I saw that you're B Corp pending. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we started out as a public benefit corp, and but the public benefit corp, it's great, but there's really nothing that requires you to do anything other than write
Right.
a full
There's no
statement.
accountability or anything yet.
Yeah, and I think the consumers have really been left behind, and so we, you know, unfortunately, we have to prove to the consumer that we actually mean everything that we say, and we want to, and so we are going through the B Corp certification. We are part of 1% for the planet. We, you
Yes,
know, certifications on our products. So it's not just that we're talking, and we're actually walking the
exactly.
talk, and we're proving that we actually can stand behind our products and say, and our company, and say, this is what we believe in, and this is what we want to continue doing.
I love that. I love it so much. And so I'm so curious about what this journey has been like, particularly starting here in the States. And I'm not familiar with like the legalities of things, or if there were any legal impediments, or if it's just people's perceptions of what CBD is and all these elements. Like I was talking to someone else who works in with CBD, and they said like a majority of their marketing is just education on what this means. And I'm super curious to understand like I'm curious if it was like what that journey was like to learn how to talk about this and how to market it and build a community, and particularly during COVID and all of these pieces. It sounds like such an interesting, like a beautiful story to begin with, and then I feel like it may have been an interesting journey since you came on board. So I'd love to learn more about like particularly what your last year has looked like, and you were kind of alluding to that journey a little bit earlier, but what it's been like specifically building this kind of brand around this kind of
Right.
product.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I have dabbled a little bit in the cannabis space before, and helped a company that was working on a book. And so I
Mm,
had some understanding of some of the regulations and requirements that it went into it, not completely from a consumer product perspective.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the requirements still, I mean, are absurd, and I just can't wait for us to continue making progress to really change the understanding and dynamic. And yeah, I've heard so many friends come and say, you're launching a CBD business. I would have never imagined that from you.
yeah.
It's an ingredient that helps enhance products. It's not this, you know, strange thing out there, but it has been interesting learning to navigate the, you know, especially marketing and things that we
Mm,
communicate, you know, that you can't outright just say this helps with this. It helps support.
right,
And so you have to everything. I mean, even in Instagram Live, I'm always thinking about, okay, what do I say? Because I
right.
have to be cautious in terms of how this might be used at a later point in time of someone saying, well, she said it does this. And so you're always like, well, it
Mm,
supports this, you know, these symptoms. And
mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
really, it has been interesting just, you know, really diving in and reading all about the regulations, constantly following the FDA and FDC, so that we as a company, we're trying to be forward thinking and thinking what's coming down the pipeline as things continue to change. How do we have to think about our messaging and our labeling so that as things change, we don't have to, you know, throw away all of our packaging or
Yeah.
redo our website or things like that. So it's interesting launching specifically in this space, and there's
Mm,
limitations on social media, and one day it's
right,
acceptable and then the next day it's not acceptable. And it's unfortunate because it's something that's been around for thousands of years, and people have used it. I mean, it dates back to, you know, times where the Chinese emperor utilized it in putting together medication that helped people. I mean, you know, it dates
interesting.
back to so many years. Even in the US, we had, I think it was Hemp for Victory. And so a lot of the original sailing ships in the Navy, so much of it, the ropes and everything was made from hemp. And
Of course.
then prohibition came. And so it changed. So it's a lot of educating people of, this is something that has been around for a long time, and people have used it throughout history for medicinal purposes, for clothing, for so many things. And so many people's mind were changed to make it seem like it was bad. And unfortunately, because of that, there wasn't the research and education that exists with a lot of other supplement ingredients to say the efficacy behind, turmeric is this, and here's all the research, and here's all the studies. And so those are happening now, which is amazing. But there is a lot of explaining to people. We do have an endocannabinoid system, and we have these receptors in our body. And so the CBD or different cannabinoids bind with our receptors, and they help bring our bodies to this level field that we should be in. People, what's an endocannabinoid system, and I have what, and it binds to what. And so it's explaining to people that our body, it helps regulate our bodies, and we actually have systems and components in our bodies that need it, because the things that we're consuming, or maybe our body isn't producing enough of it today. And so there is a lot of just education in terms of the products, and we're really lucky. We have an incredible medical advisory team. So part of it was, back to the story of like, okay, we're launching this business, but if we're going to launch a business where people are putting things on their body and in their body, then maybe we should have a medical team to make sure that we're actually putting things out there that are safe, which I don't, it's surprising that many companies don't do that, because it's shocking to me, actually.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And so,
but you're good at building teams, right?
Yeah,
that's your superpower. So
so
that's amazing.
If I'm doing this and I want to help, I really want to make sure I'm helping people the right way, and I don't want to have that negative impact. So we have an incredible medical advisor team that review the formulations. Dr. Swati, who's on our team, she's amazing with education, really providing that insight to people to say, here is CBD. And she's created programs for pharmacists that have been certified by PharmD, and working with medical and without educating people, they're just going to continue to have these beliefs that this isn't good and it doesn't help them. So when we created the products initially, not all of them had CBD when my aunt made them. But we decided to add it in because why not add one more effective ingredient that really make a difference? And not just CBD, but other cannabinoids as well that have research. Like CBN is amazing for supporting sleep, probably better than CBD, and CBG is better for certain skin conditions and supporting those better than CBD. And when you combine them, it's just that much better. So those are all of the things that led us to to create the products and launch the products and focus on education, so that people know and believe why they're actually buying this particular product from us.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Okay. So no, that's great. I think it's a really interesting area, to be honest. And I know more people are getting into like various kinds of businesses around cannabis, and I don't have the vocabulary to talk about it, but I think it's really interesting to learn. I was thinking, okay, so I feel like we have a good kind of like understanding of how you got to today. So what I'm curious about is, what does tomorrow look like? So what is the vision for Element Apothec, whether that's the vision for 3 weeks from now or 3 years from now? What does your roadmap look like? And I know you've had some exciting, you're in the middle of a fundraise on weFunder, and you have some other exciting things going on. So just let us know what's happening now, but what we can expect as well.
Yeah, so we are in the middle of a fundraise, and it's been interesting launching a brand fundraising during COVID, which has been a little tricky, and limitations on promoting and advertising our fundraise as well on social media. So we've pushed as hard as we can, but with some of the cannabis and CBD regulations, it's been tricky, but we're pushing forward, and we're getting our products out there, and that's important to us as we continue to fundraise. Our goal and path is to continue to expand our e-commerce sales. Also, we are starting our retail strategy. We're launching in a store called Showfields this week in Miami, which is, they claim themselves as like the world's most, unusual store. And it's really cool. The company's creative concept and turn it into kind of a visually artistic experience. So we're really excited to be working with them, and then just continuing that retail strategy. We've partnered with some online marketplaces that are also focused on similar values that we have, and just continuing to educate and to build our team, but really, focus aggressively on getting our products to as many people as possible.
Okay, amazing. So is this something that people can already purchase on the website?
Yeah, we started
Yes?
sales the beginning, well, actually very end of November, but yeah, we've been selling products and launching products so people can go on and buy products now. We're starting to get good reviews, and we have influencers, which is just so cool to see influencers using your product and posting their positive review about
Getting
it.
out there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I
It's
love
like,
it.
I have no idea, and they're posting to their followers about our products and how it's helped them. So it's been really cool.
Incredible. All right, so for those watching, you can head to elementapothec.com then, and you can check out what they're doing there. And if you like what they're doing, then you can purchase to your heart's content. And then also, I know that Element Apothec, you're on like lots of different social channels. So if you just want to like follow their journey and support them that way, you can also check them out on Twitter at eApothec, on Instagram here, Element Apothec, and then on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. What do you do on YouTube?
Well, we started doing some shows. Dr. Swathi and I, we were partnered with a network. They've had some issues, but we're continuing on our own. It was called Contemporary Cannabis, but really just providing a good informational session about CBD and cannabis and terpenes and all of the things that make up cannabis. And we're going to continue with that on our own, because we just feel like there's such a need. But really just Dr. Swathi and I just having a good conversation about everything cannabis, so people can really understand it. And not just cannabis. I mean, there's other plants and things that we actually utilize in our body that are very similar and provide the same kind of impact on our receptors. And so that's, we also talk about that. And, these are some of the old wise tales, like if you use this when your stomach's not feeling good, it's going to help you. And so people also start to understand, like, oh, it's cannabis or CBD is kind of like that. I didn't think about it like that, and helping to normalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. I think I'm gonna go check that out. So because I feel like I need to learn. And I see someone said, "What's the website?" I don't know if I answered that after you said that. So if you didn't catch it, it's elementapothec.com, and it's apothec as an Apothec. So that's where you can head there. Alrighty. So I know we're getting into the last little bit of it, and there's still lots of questions I want to ask. So, and anyone who's in it, whether you're watching here live right now, or if you're watching on IGTV later or on YouTube later, feel free to ask questions. And if we don't get to them today, or if you submit them later, we'll make sure that Davina gets those so we can get those answers to you. But in the meantime, I think it sounds like you have this really incredible breadth of experience, and like the building teams thing is so important, and thinking about your advisory board is so important. So I would love to know what kind of tips you would have for an entrepreneur that might be starting out today.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing is just be really honest with yourself about what your skill set is, and what your strengths are, and what you need to complement yourself to be successful. Because I think a lot of people go into it like, I can do everything, and you can, but
Yeah.
what are you good at? And allow the other people to really complement you too, and let go. It's important to kind of let go and trust other people, but look to build your team. And there's people, I mean, there's so many incredible advisors that have come across that really want to help. I think especially right now with everything going on. So
Yeah.
I had to overcome this fear of just asking people, and the worst that they could say is no. But can you be a mentor? Can you help us? Would you like to be involved? And it really is amazing, the outpouring of support that exists today, especially with everything going on in the world. So that's a big thing. Just ask. And the worst that happens is they can say no, and rely on those people. Really count on them, because they are there, instead of, letting them just go. That would be my
absolutely
piece of advice. And just, I don't know, just know that even if it's hard, just if you know your why, I think that's what motivates you. Because there's days that are hard, and I've gone through some personal things, recently, and loss of family, and if you're passionate about what you're doing, even though it might be hard some days, you have that motivation to kind of get you up out of bed when the news is crazy, when you're reading your social media and the world seems like it's a mess. It just is like, okay, this is my focus. This is what I can continue doing. And you wake up every day and you just do it.
Yeah. I'd be curious. I went through a large process in 2018. I came out of some severe burnout. It would have been great to have some Element Apothec products back then, but I went into this process of really figuring out what my why was and digging into that. And like what you're saying, for me also, it's helped me with decision making. It's helped guide me. It's helped me kind of stay on track and values aligned, and just make decisions for myself, but as well as for my business. And one thing I get asked, I don't know if you've been asked this as well, is like, how do you go through that process? How do you figure out, for those of us, or anyone who's watching this who's like, I don't feel like I've gone through that, or maybe it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago and I don't know if it's still aligned. Do you have any tips or ideas or prompts or anything that you have in terms of like figuring out that piece? I know this is kind of a left field question, but I'm just curious.
No, it's great. I mean, for myself, I spent a lot of time sitting at the beach and just, I don't know, right. That's my calm, safe place, and writing notes to myself and journaling of, what do I envision my life, and what do I want to be? And at the end of the day, what do I want to be known for? What impact do I want to leave? And then from that, kind of drilling back and saying, okay, if this is what I want to do, my goal is that I really want to help improve people's lives. So what are the things that I can do to actually do that, and do that being able to be financially stable as well? Because if you could just do nice things all day, that would be great, right? But you also have to look at it as like, okay, realistically, what can I do to support my life, make a difference, and what skill set do I have so I actually can do this? Because I could have thought about developing some, I don't know, maybe something I just wouldn't be tangible for me to do. And so it was a lot of journaling and just thinking through, writing pros and cons about different ideas, and thinking about that. Yeah, that was kind of the process and it evolved. I mean, it changed when I was a little bit younger, and evolved in terms of what now at my life makes a difference. I think with the world and everything now, gives people a little bit of opportunity to step back and think about that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did this when I was 16, and then I did it however old I was in 2018. 32, 31, I don't know, something like that. And it was quite a shift, because I was looking at my why and I was like, that doesn't sit with like with my understanding of the world now and who I am in it and what I want. And so I think what I'm hearing is creating space. So there's no like magic pill for this. It's definitely like, there's lots of prompts online. You can look up journal prompts, all these things. But it's creating that time and space, going to somewhere like a beach or a forest, or your couch, if that's your happy place, and just create and making that space to answer the tough questions and know it's not going to happen in a day, and being patient with that. So I think that's a great approach, and thank you for sharing that. So something else that I always like to ask, we're getting into the last couple of questions here, but I always like to ask, so we've learned all about the origin story of Apothec. It's an incredible story. If anyone just joined now, please do make sure to go back and listen to. It's really interesting, and what your journeys look like and what your visions look like. So we're on board, we're behind it, excited about your launch in Miami. So what can we as your community do to support you here today?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really looking for, one thing is partnerships and brand collaborations to see really how we can work together to make a difference, whatever that might be. That's something that we're looking for. We're looking for people to help contribute content, because the more information we could put out there and educate, not just about cannabis and CBD, but wellness and living a better quality life. I think that it all goes together in terms of, overall arching wellness. And then we are fundraising. So if anyone has anyone interested or connections that might be interested, please share our story and share our information. You could find us on weFunder, and we have a video and cool stuff. So we would greatly appreciate that, and try our products. I mean, they really work. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, but they really have impacted people, and it's so wonderful to hear the stories that are coming in from people that are using them. So
amazing.
that would be
That's really
lots of that.
exciting. Okay, so check out the products. If you're interested in partnering or collaborating, if you're interested in developing content around well and wellness, check out weFunder as well. All of the things. There's many ways to support Davina and the team at Element Apothec here today. What is the best way if someone wants to connect with you directly, Davina? How could they do that?
Yeah, but through either on Instagram through Element Apothec, we're really active and responsive in our messaging, but also just Davina at elementapothec.com to my email address, and I can respond that way as well.
Okay, amazing, cool. So is there anything that we haven't touched on yet here today that you had wanted to speak about?
No, I think we touched on everything. I just really appreciate having the opportunity, like I said, in this space. I don't know, to share my story. I remember listening to the founders and thinking like, oh, I could do that too. And so, you know, I hope someone hears it and says like, oh, I could do that too, or there's something that grabs someone in some way. So that, I don't know, I just appreciate the opportunity. So thank you for that.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, really, we're very happy that you were able to join us here today. Like you said, creating space for these kinds of conversations that do bring joy is really important, right? Especially right now, always, but especially right now. And I love what you're doing. I'm following you. I'm going to check it out more now that I know the whole story. And I always love hearing the stories behind these incredible companies such as Element Apothec. I just have your face is just pausing right now, so I'm waiting. Okay, you're back. But until I ask a question, I wanted to wait until you were back on my screen. So the last question that I always ask at the end of these is, what is one thing that brings you joy right now?
Oh gosh, I mean, I don't know, I mean, there's several things, but I think just starting to hear the stories and the reviews of our products making a difference, it just is so incredible to know that, you know, that you can make a difference. I don't know. I love that.
Absolutely. Oh, I think that's no, I think that's amazing. And I'm really happy that you're getting those. I'm really happy that I'm excited for you and your journey, and I just kind of excited to hear how things go with this the store that does the art, like brings that artistic element to what it does. And I'm sure that will you have pictures on Instagram of that?
Yeah, we'll put pictures on. We're launching in Miami, and then we'll have a bigger, we have a kind of a kiosk in Miami, and then in New York, we're actually going to have a whole room, which will be, I'm excited for that to kind of happen and what that ends up looking like.
Amazing. Okay, so everyone follow their journey, go to Element on Instagram, and you can check out what you're up to. So that's it for today. Thank you again so much for joining us, Davina. As I was mentioning, I'm excited to follow your journey. We'll be continuing our founder chats again next week. I'm going to be talking to Sophia with Fembot, and we're actually going to be focusing on mentorship and particularly how to create impactful mentorship programs and some of the kind of common traps of mentorship programs. So if you're interested in that topic, anyone, then come check that out. Otherwise, this is going to live on IGTV as well as on our YouTube. So go check that out, where there's also the Amplify from November, which Davina was pitching at. So you can check that out if you'd like. And I think that's it. Otherwise, everyone, I hope that you are safe and well, and that you have a lovely rest of your day that has some moments of joy, whether it's a bird that comes to the feeder next to you. I have a bird feeder right beside me. It always brings me joy to see the little birds eating at the feeder, or something larger. It doesn't really matter. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again soon, Davina.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.